We don't want it on cloud. Recording. Okay.
I will.
Uh, hey, Russ. Thank you for letting me drop into your counseling office and come see you. Um, is it okay if I have kind of a counseling session with you? But we have some people who are looking in. I hope that's okay.
Yes, Bill, that's okay.
All right.
I
So,
think I know some of your issues,
oh gosh, okay, don't tell Marilyn. All right. So,
but let's move forward.
yeah. So, Russ is my younger brother. He's the baby of four boys, and I love him. He's really good at counseling. He has some counseling practice, and he's been a professor of counseling. And he's just currently moving out of that field into taking on a leadership role in all of Alberta. So he'll do half time with his counseling service and half time giving leadership to the whole of counselors in Alberta. I think, is that broad description correct?
It's close enough,
Okay.
but not really.
Right.
But
Okay. Okay.
it's
I
all
have
good.
some coffee with me. So I'm struggling with some change, and but tell me more broadly, what happens in change? What do we go through, and then I'll give you my specific area of change that I'd like help with.
Yeah. So we we all too often think that change should be easy, and that somehow, well, you just change. We ask people to change all the time, but we never give people the psychological process for change. And so often, when we're talking to people and trying to help them, we might want them to change for good, and we say, "Oh, well, just do this, just change," um, and we call it. I call it. Uh, just do it therapy, and people go, well, and they try, and they get stuck, and they don't know quite how. But in the counseling field and in
You
an
froze up a
area
little
called
bit.
motivational interviewing, we
You
have
froze up a little bit there,
uh,
Russ. In
in
the
the
counseling
counseling
field.
field, we have what we call 5 stages of change. And those stages um, are kind of the process, the psychological process that people go through. And the first one, of course, is pre-contemplation. And pre-contemplation,
Pre-contemplation. Okay.
yeah, pre-contemplation is when we are not even aware that we actually need to change. We can be blind to the areas that we don't know about. Jahiro's window, that sometimes we can have things that we're living with. We've always lived that way, then we don't recognize it. It's like having bad breath and not knowing it. It's like, it's like, well, many, for example, people with addictions don't recognize that their use has actually become a problem, and so they're pre-contemplative. They don't know, and that unawareness, that blindness, has to be cracked open. And how that's cracked open, there's all kinds of ways that happens for people, and sometimes it's a consequence that slaps them in the head. So it can be all kinds of things, and the counseling process can actually help in terms of opening that up. But then all of a sudden they become aware, oh, I didn't know that this was a problem. I didn't know that there was potentially a different way of living. And they move into the second stage. Yeah, stage 2 is contemplation.
Contemplation.
Yeah.
Pre-contemplation to contemplation.
And in contemplation, all of a sudden they become more aware. It's like, oh, maybe I do have a problem. Maybe I do have a problem. Maybe I do need to change. And they start looking at the issue of change, but they're in a world of ambivalence. And ambivalence is when I feel two ways about something. It's like, well, I want to live this way, but I really want to live this way too. And it's like, I want to change, but I don't want to change. That's ambivalence.
I've felt that a lot. I'm sometimes really stuck in stage two, the contemplation stage.
And so, yeah, some people can get stuck in contemplation for years. And sometimes when we have a variety of different kinds of issues to change in our life, I can be in one stage with one issue and a different stage in another issue. And so I might be willing to move farther on this issue, but I'm not willing to move farther on a different issue. So it's not that it's change as a whole. Every change is its own process. So we have pre-contemplation, contemplation, and in contemplation, yeah, we have this, but contemplation is the place where we need a vision for where it is we want to go to. If we don't know where it is we want to go to, if we don't have a sense of that there's a different way of living, then we're still actually stuck in pre-contemplation.
So envisioning is pretty important.
It's critically important. So I've dealt with addicts who can't see themselves. It's like, Russ, I don't get it. Like, you're saying, really? How on earth do you live without cocaine? How am I supposed to live in this new reality? And if they can't vision it, change isn't going to happen. And so their world is so soaked in that reality. And our own worlds can be soaked in this reality of, oh, I can't change. The way I am is just fine. And that's not going to work. So in contemplation, building a vision for the future, building a vision of what it is I'm moving towards is critically important in order to move out of ambivalence. Even if I can, and part of that vision is, recognizing where I really want to be. And then this third step is preparation. It's not that, boom, I'm automatically there.
So pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation.
Yeah. And preparation, of course, it recognizes that I need to figure out the how. I need to figure out, just because I know, okay, this is where I want to be, and I'm over here, how do I get there? So just because, I'm going to repeat that, just because I know where I want to be doesn't necessarily mean I know how to get there. And so I need to figure that out. And sometimes I need resources, sometimes I need support, sometimes I need, part of this is a plan, but part of it is also some element of experimentation with change, making little changes. And so I decide to try some things differently as a way of experimenting with some element of change, because how change works for everybody is in some ways the same, but it's also very much unique to everybody. So that's the preparation. And then when I feel prepared, I'm psychologically prepared. I know where I'm going. I know how I'm getting there. And some plans are better than others. So there can be, some fault in that, because if the plan isn't good enough, then we can actually relapse. We can go back to our old way of living, and we can, loop a few times before we really look at what it is that how our plan needs to be different. But preparation is the plan, but then we need to enact the plan, and that's the fourth stage, is action.
Okay, so help me through the steps. So pre-contemplation, contemplation, third is coffee.
Yes, third is coffee, Bill. Preparation.
Preparation, and then action or enacting.
Yeah, taking some kind of action where we're acting out the preparation, the plan of change that we have. And that action stage can be like some people think, oh, well, that's just in one day I'm going to make the change. So people think that in one day I'm going to make the change. No, no, no. Most changes require a consistent effort in some ways for a number of days in a row. Sometimes months can be involved in the action stage of change. And so change then in the action stage, just because it's like, okay, now I've changed, what people many times think is, yeah, okay, I'm good now. I've made the change. It's all good. Until I think, oh, I'm good with this. No problem. I got this down. And they lose their vulnerability that somehow the old way of life could creep back in. And so they need to have systems in place that allow for them to maintain that change.
Okay,
And
and
that's the fifth
the
stage,
fifth
is
stage
maintenance.
is
It's
maintenance or maintaining.
yeah, and realizing that just because I've made the change does not mean that it's going to stick. I actually have to have systems in place, encouragement. I have to continue to live in the new way of living in order to, and how am I going to ensure that I continue to live in the new reality? And those are the 5 stages of change that enable the process of someone to actually make significant kind of changes in their life.
That's helpful. And I want to come to you with a particular issue or problem I have. And I'm going to cut it and make it a separate segment, but because we've already gone a little time here, but this is coffee and this is cream. And I've already shared why I need to get this out of my coffee. But I'm stuck. I have had this all my life in my coffee. I need to really move into the 160s weight wise. I've got down to the 170s from 225, but I need a healthy weight for me really is in the 160s. I need to get this out in order to just drop a little bit more. And I'm struggling with that. So we're going to stop the record here and